Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of VGChatz. This time featuring definitely Resident Evil 4. My name is Paul. With me, as always, is Lee. And we are playing definitely again Resident Evil 4. This time featuring Dante as the protagonist instead of Leon, because I want Devil May Cry 6, but it's not going to happen for a long time, and this is my very healthy way of coping with it.
And might I say, he's got mad drip.
He does.
As the cool kids say.
Those sunglasses are immaculate. God bless. Like, the modding community surrounding games is just fantastic. Like, anything you could ever want is available. They already have mods for like replacing the entire cast with Mario characters, and it's just a sight to behold.
Beautiful.
But Mario characters or otherwise, Resident Evil 4 is
oh Jesus,
just another game in the year of the remakes.
Insane year of remakes.
I think like all of my favorite or so, like top 5 games of this year so far, are all remakes or remasterings in some form or fashion. Between this, Metroid Prime Remastered, Dead Space, Yakuza, or excuse me, Like a Dragon Ishin.
That is a remake, right? So
I don't. Remake is probably not the right word, but it's an updated version.
Reimagining.
Of a game. It never came out in the West, I guess. It was a Japan exclusive game for a while, and so then they buffed up the graphics up to justify a Western release.
Are there new storylines?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I cannot comment on how it changed from the Japan version because I never played it in the default
gotcha.
Japanese version. But in terms of things I have played, I played the original version of this game a ton. This and Metroid Prime were like the foundation of my very early days as a console game.
Right.
I had a GameCube for the first time. My first console, and I played the heck out of it. This is probably, I guess, the most famous section from the original Resident Evil. I think when people see Resident Evil 4, if they don't think of Leon, they think of the dude with the chainsaw.
Exactly. I mean, they even had the GameCube chainsaw controller.
Oh, that's right.
Or whatever.
I haven't thought about that in so long. It's such a. I got the chance to try one of them out once. It's such a funny, like, device to use, and not just because it looks weird. It feels so strange. Go away.
Damn, bro.
Worst. One other thing I will say up front is, at the suggestion of my editor, I am swallowing my pride and playing this on standard mode to, in his words, focus on talking more. So, not my choice, but I'm doing it for the good of the community. Although I do have to say, having played a little bit of it in preparation for this, I think I honestly might prefer it in some ways, even though it is.
Uh-oh.
It's not great.
Oh! Oh, Jesus.
Well, there's a big fat lesson in the virtue of humility.
But as I was saying, I do. Oh, jeez.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Wow.
Yeah.
So is that a scripted bit, or is that more dynamic?
Oh my god.
Uh-oh. 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 Uh-oh.
I'm getting stun locked by a cow.
Get out of there.
I'm
Oh, Lord.
working on it.
So this game is a bit notorious for stun locking people, but I've never had it happen to me by a cow before. It's Revenge of the Chick-fil-A cows. It's gonna hold me down and get me killed for eating too many hamburgers.
So anyway, to try and get back to the difficulty comment from before, before I was so rudely chainsawed in the face the first time. On one of the ways that they've made the higher difficulties tougher is by making it much harder to stagger enemies. So in the original game, you can like headshot pretty much anyone once or twice, and they will sort of like enter a stagger state where you can run up and kick them. And
yeah.
it's really satisfying. It looks really cool, and it's one of my favorite parts of the just general combat flow of the original.
Oh, Jesus. I mean,
not the way to go.
Even though they seem possessed, I think
This,
part of the fault is on you for interrupting them in their home.
yeah. Well, it's a lot funnier in the original, because Leon just runs in and doesn't speak Spanish, just shouts a bunch of stuff at them in English, and then gets mad when they are understandably unhappy with him.
Yeah.
Classic foreign American.
Yeah.
But to sort of get back to what I was saying, I do like how they stagger a lot more easily on standard. I think hardcore and professional especially suffer with just how tanky enemies can be, and RE4 Remake in general kind of struggles, I think, with having more difficulty by giving enemies higher health pools and bigger stagger pools, and that doesn't really make it more fun. Like, the fun comes from shooting someone in the face and running up and kicking them, not shooting them 24 times in the face before you can kick them once.
I think this sort of like Leon's got this fantastic one-liner coming up, and it sort of like brings into view the next topic that I wanted to hit on, which is what this game does so well that I a bunch of other games tried to emulate it, and I don't think, including Resident Evil games, and I don't think anyone else really ever managed to do, is it has this
lightning in a bottle quality where it has a dark setting with some really dark things going on, and it's some really gruesome portrayals, and it's simultaneously just absurd and hilarious and over the top and crazy, and it just makes those two mesh really well.
the sheer juxtaposition of where's everyone going bingo along with a police officer burning to death.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't work, but it does. And I don't.
It comes
tough
down to Leon. I think it comes down to Leon. Like he carries an X factor of like just that. When there's something about even his character design, like disregarding, I know you got the Dante look going on, but if you scroll and go to his original design, like check it check it out real quick. Just like, come on, like cool bomber jacket, like he kind of has like that coolness of an actual ex-police officer or something, but then he also has like the type of haircut that teeny boppers would like in like One Direction or something. It's just one of those weird juxtapositions like you're talking about, and the way he kind of like revels in certain moments and has some quippy one-liners, it all just kind of coalesces for him in a way that I just don't think sorry, I don't think you'll ever get with like Chris Redfield or the new guy is Ethan Winters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so to sort of like play off that in a way though. It's not only is it a quality that's I think unique to Leon, it's a quality that's unique to this game's Leon, because they bring Leon back for I guess it's
for
really
6.
just Resident Evil 6 at this point. But even like he's in a bunch of the animated movies that they do as well, and he's never as fun. Oh, I don't have a knife. My knife's broken. This is horrible. And it's go through her head. Why just that bad? This is not a great day for me. But Leon is never like the same charming, I guess, for lack of a better word, that he is here. He just they I don't know if like he improves the setting and the setting improves him, or if it's just him written differently or something. But
yeah, I mean,
there's
all
something
the above,
about there's something about
you missed the
RE4
blue
Leon.
thing. There's a blue thing to shoot.
Yeah,
like...
I am lazy.
all right.
So I guess we can talk about that. In the original RE4, right, there's these like 20 medallions that are around, and if you shoot, I think it's 15 of them, you get a gun that is it's fine. It's nothing to write about, but it's serviceable. You can sell it for money. That's the nice thing about it. In this game, they basically revamped that system, so it sort of spans the entire game. And now there's like a whole bunch of these smaller shoot the blue medallion quest things.
Right.
And doing them gives you these little gems that you could find all around normally in the base game.
Right.
Which are now restricted to doing these quests. And like that's one of them right there, actually. I'm kind of mixed on it because they're not particularly interesting as far as quests go. Like they're not bad, but sort of do this once and
damn.
I would never do it again if I had the choice.
But you don't really have the choice because there's some stuff that can only be bought through it.
There's always a choice.
Escape there.
Close call.
I would like you to not go through this one though. But he kind of shows
I guess
off.
he didn't hear you.
Yeah. Wasn't. quite willing to comply.
God damn.
He shows off the evasion system, I guess, that they added to this game.
They said they removed quick time events from the game, and they kind of did.
Mhm.
They're not like in a cutscene or anything, I guess, which
Right.
is progress. But basically now the game just sort of cheaps out as you press the C button, whatever the controller equivalent is,
Mhm.
whenever there's an attack that you need to avoid.
Right.
Which is, I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna commit to removing the quick time events, get rid of them all and just give us a dedicated dodge button that's available at all times, or just don't
Sure.
bother.
Right. Right.
Maybe it's not that big a deal. That's one of my, like, I guess, more minor gripes with the game.
Right. I think it kind of touches back on one of what you brought up before about like universalizing like the control standards like whenever you're playing instead of, contextual type stuff.
Yeah, I definitely do prefer that for action games here.
Mhm.
Like, because there are some enemies that like do that sort of thing later on, where you have to, press it to dodge and such.
Mhm.
And the window is just really tight.
Sure.
Like surprisingly tight.
Right.
And so if you like happen to press you can know the attack's coming and press the
Mhm.
dodge button, but it just won't dodge unless you happen to press it, when the thing shows up.
Right.
And if you like happen to press it too early or something, you just kind of stand there helplessly.
Mhm.
And get smacked by the big giant troll dude. Because a little silly. I feel like the player should be rewarded for moving out of the way, or at least having the instinct to move out of the way by moving out of the way.
Yeah.
Like if it was moving too early and then the enemy adjusts and hits you because you moved too quickly, then I would understand that.
Yeah.
But if it's just the enemy will hit you because you weren't allowed to dodge them,
Right. Right. Yeah.
that feels sillier to me. So while we're here on this part, do you want to go ahead and move to any comments that we had from last time?
Indeed, I do. Funny you would bring that up. So in our last VGChatz with Dead Space, JC responded again, made a lengthy comment, and it actually touched on Stray that we brought up there, and then also Dead Space. And let's see, we'll start with Stray. Okay. So as we're talking, yada yada about prompt-based or universalized control standards and stuff like that, and context sensitivity, we've had a bit of a back and forth, and then JC responded with, I think it's definitely subjective as to whether an action should be prompt-based or not, of course. Not inherently against the silliness of having a cat jump around like Mario either, but I can't help feeling like there had to be some limit to the volume of absurdity on offer in Stray, or else the whole vibe of this being a semi-believable cat character would be lost, and much of the game's overall tone along with it. Cats certainly do have energetic sides for sure. Olivia likes to show off her dude by zipping back and forth across the grass. Yada yada yada. That's parenthetical. It's kind of like how one of the greatest charms of Gato Roboto for me is the fact that your cat protagonist can't speak, but can only respond every comment and instruction with meow.
Meow.
The Gato Roboto elements of it, I thought, was something that hit home for me,
Hmm.
sort of because of another game, Okami, uh,
Okay.
where the main protagonist, Amaterasu, is a wolf.
Right. Right.
And I think gains a ton of personality because she can't speak, and has to do like all her communicating either through her sidekick bug partner, Isun, that's along with
Hmm.
her, or just by making standard wolf noises. Um,
Sure. Sure.
so I do definitely sort of get it on that end.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will say, as far as the absurdity elements, I think maybe this is almost a bridge too far fallacy, but I feel like Stray kind of goes well over the issues. Like, what goes well over the point where we would be concerned about realism
Hmm.
in some of the things that show up, from the body horror to the animatronic robots,
Hmm.
animatronic and anthropomorphic. Excuse me. Uh, animatronic is the name for childhood trauma at Chuck E. Cheese. I am more open to, I guess, a more heavily context-based style of gameplay in something like Stray than I would be in
Right.
something like this.
Hmm.
So I don't want to rule it out,
Right.
which I
Right.
think was hopefully kind of the observation that I was making previously.
Yeah, I think I kind of think you're like it. I think as far as like the back and forth of examining strain this way, I think we've reached like a good not so much an impasse, but like an interesting middle point where you think about it more and more, and there's also other considerations like pacing and stuff like that, and as far as what the developers want you to do in order to stay focused, finishing quests and you know just keeping your eye on the ball, so to speak. And yeah, I think it's one of those interesting cases of maybe they could have. It kind of comes back to what we originally thought. Like maybe there could have been interesting ways to expand the interactive, like the action vocabulary of everything. But overall, like it is one of those I'm kind of more warming up to in those special circumstances.
Oh, I love this guy. Sorry, not to interrupt, but I do want to talk about this guy in a second.
Yeah, and I think in a way I also think it's like a nice. It's a good way to bring in Gato Roboto as like I think that kind of buttons up, that the stray part of the discussion because it's just I don't know, like there's a kind of nice finality just to that kind of paragraph and just capturing the gist of you know of like one of several decisions developers have to go through and weigh and measure, and then at the end of the day that's their end product. So yeah, so that's the stray part. Are you ready for the other bit on Dead
I
Space?
want to just briefly take a second to highlight my good friend Merchant here. Back in all his glory. I've missed this guy. He's
What are you buying?
he is by far the best video game salesperson. And
Well, hold on. Tom Nook is. I mean, come on. There's got to be a rivalry there.
Tom Nook isn't. He's not even like a. I
He
mean, I
he
guess
is
he
kind of a
is.
sales. He but by by him kind of doing it by force gives Tom Nook a kind of charm.
I feel like he's just more of a like a real estate mobster.
Why not both?
Yeah. Is there a difference today?
Right.
Also,
Oh,
do
beautiful
briefly
knife
at
work.
least want to chat about, since I brought up the dodge mechanic earlier that I wasn't such a huge fan of. One thing I do really like that they've added into this game is the other sort of evasion system, which is the knife parry. So they completely reworked how knives work in this game, turning them from like an infinite sort of low damage option to basically just conserve ammo. Now they have limited durability, but you could use them to like block pretty much any physical attack.
Sure.
And even some projectiles as well. And if you parry it with good timing, you can even stun the enemy. Get a free kick in. Amazing sharpshooting skills.
Good lord.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when the enemies don't move.
Right.
Forgot to kill this guy. But yeah, let's jump to the second part of that question now.
Sure. So this one relates.
Only trying to kill me instead.
Yeah. So this one relates to the Dead Space portion of our previous VGChatz. JC then says, anyway, the score of 9 for Dead Space surprised me here too. Mix that up. But anyways, based on the footage here, though, I can already see the appeal. It's hard to really grasp the thickness of a game's atmosphere without its audio, but the richness of detail, the area layouts I'm seeing, and yes, definitely the lighting choices that are on display here convey much by themselves and certainly indicate that a tremendous amount of real care went into this project. Gotta agree with Paul on two things specifically. One, I think I tend to err on the side of changing things that could plausibly be improved in remasters myself too. And two, in the horror genre, atmosphere is definitely the single most crucial factor for my taste.
Dead Space was a title that makes playing RE4 now maybe even more fitting, because it was very heavily inspired by RE4.
Absolutely.
And I think it sort of highlights, and I don't want to like say too much bad about Dead Space here, because it is still a game that I enjoy a lot at the end of the day. But I think what makes RE4 such a great game, one that's held up as well as it has, is that tone we talked about beforehand. Like RE4 is able to get away with as much action as it has, because it is just silly. And I don't mean that in like a bad way. It's just incredibly over the top, usually not trying to take itself seriously. The remake moves it into like a little bit more grittiness, and scraps some of the memeier quotes, which I think is a bummer, but it's still at the end of the day very much a silly horror game, if it can even be called horror. Like
it's just camp.
At this point, I'd probably consider it more of like an action game than a horror title.
It's kind of like
Space,
Sam Raimi and the like the Army of Darkness type style.
Yeah, that's a great comparison for it, actually.
I do
Dead
that often.
Space-
Thank you, Paul.
we do our best to appreciate your talents.
Yeah.
Dead Space tries to take itself more seriously.
Hmm.
And I think for a horror game, that's a bit like trying to have your cake and eat it too. If you're having that much action in your game, it means that it's a lot harder for the player to be afraid of the enemies you're throwing at them because you're killing them so much.
Hmm.
And that sort of lessens the fear factor of things, which in turn sort of means that being sillier is sort of your only way out.
Well, I can kind of follow that. I think I would arrive at it at a like different interpretation because I mean I totally understand as far as you know the how the art like kind of Raimi-esque silliness within 4 has elevates it in a way that's kind of like not seen by anyone else. Oh, here comes the chainsaw boy.
Yeah,
Should
you can
I'll
have
hold.
tons of fun
I'll,
over there.
I'll pause whenever when you think you're free or whatever. Like I'll.
No, you can keep going.
Okay.
I'm just giving him the flip. God, another fucking bear trap.
But I at least I think with Dead Space, like that 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 focus on tone, I still kind of I think it marries well because it's still trying to it's capturing a totally different feel in the way that he's a simple there's something more simple about him as a simple engineer finding all these engineering tools or mining tools and just going ham on zombies and stuff like that. And I I I would be it would be tough for me to imagine how it if there was a silliness to Dead Space that was a bit more inherent, if that would really elevate the action as much. I think in that case, I think it would come more down to the design because I think when we spoke about last time was more of the action gets a little bit muted. When you kind of spoiler alert when you leave the Ishimura. I think we both kind of agree on that. But yeah, that's kind of my more. That's how I would kind of push back against that, so to speak.
Yeah, and I don't think. I guess to be clear, I don't think the solution is just have it be like Resident Evil 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should strive to be its own thing. Not totally certain that Resident Evil 4 is basically a really hard thing to copy because it's lightning in a bottle.
Right.
And
Bingo.
I think sort of the observation, at least that I'm trying to go for more, is that any game that tries to copy it is going to be at an inherent disadvantage because it's really hard to find the setting where you can have a game that works well being that campy and that action oriented and still have a little bit of horror on the side.
See also Resident Evil 5 and 6, I guess.
Yep, that's honestly a fantastic example of it. I don't hate RE5, but it's definitely not a game I particularly care for. It
is. I'll say it right now. It is so mid. It is. It was. It's one of those cases that maybe this will kind of go on a bit of a rant, but it was one of those cases of, seeing critic scores and being blown the hell away at how this thing could ever net like high nines by prominent critics. You know what I mean? Like it it was given so much leeway, especially if some of these critics like played through and completed Resident Evil 4 before that. I just I don't know. Still blows my mind today.
I I don't remember that much about the critical reception up to it, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
Was it like super positive?
I'm
Like
yeah,
I
dude,
remembered.
there
Sorry,
was I mean, like there were critics. Like don't but it was more in the there were some places some places that have kind of gone defunct. I remember because I used to go to game trailers on and off, and I think that score was like a low to mid 9, and I think there was like some other game that recently like I think there were like Silent Hill spin-offs around that time too that were just savaged in comparison. And
yeah, Homecoming and Downpour.
it was around that time. Yeah, I feel like it was more Homecoming, which I didn't play much of Homecoming, but it's not like I was impressed by that, but still, like, man, RE5, like, it's just, I don't know.
I will. So here's a question for you: did you play it with like a co-op partner, or?
Well, me and my buddy, we did single player and we kind of shared back then.
Okay. I think, and not that this like necessarily excuses it or anything. I think it becomes a much better game if you have a partner to play with, which shouldn't be a prerequisite for a Resident Evil game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I think the most sort of charitable way I can frame it is that it is some enjoyable dumb fun with a friend.
But it would probably have to be with a friend.
I would the AI for that game is miserable. I would not touch that game again with a 10-foot pole if I didn't have a friend to play it with me. Right.
Because and it was one of those. It was also, at least for me, one of those earlier test cases about. It's not like I was like thinking game design and I had just being a critic on my mind or anything back then, but it was one of those early instances where I could almost tangibly make a better argument for which one was it? Remember the Alone in the Dark?
Gosh, yes.
And I mean that was definitely flawed too. I'm not going to deny that, but it was one of those weird cases where I could probably make a stronger argument for that over single player for RE5 when we were playing it, just because of how it like. But then there's also like tarnish, kind of like harming legacy and stuff like that.
Right.
So I guess that kind of I can sometimes play into how I view something.
No, I mean I get it. It's I was pretty disappointed with it too. I think I'm pretty much on the same wavelength in terms of just viewing it as very mid. Not terrible, but that shouldn't really be the standard for Resident Evil, at least in my mind. And it's a weird sort of situation because those games sold stupidly well too.
Yeah.
So like on Capcom's end, you probably got some incredibly confused, investors or producers, who see all the like critic and fan backlash to 5 and especially 6.
Well, more fan, like that's kind of where the critic stuff comes in, because it was
Well,
You know,
six got it pretty bad from
they
critics
did.
as well.
That's where no, but what I'm saying is Resident Evil 5 was still mostly beloved by critics. Its fans later on, like post-purchase and stuff like that, that kind of like that started getting under them, and there were some of them were like, "What the hell is this?" But then 6 is where that convergence meets for critic and fan.
Right. But yeah, for both of those games sold incredibly well.
Yeah.
And I think 5 is still the best selling in the series.
You might be right, yeah. But it might be overtaken now with if 4 maintains this momentum.
Yeah, 4 I think has a very reasonable shot of if 5 is still whatever the best selling game in the series is, I think 4 Remake has a very reasonable shot of overtaking that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see that, even if it means that like the entirety of Capcom's bestseller list is going to be Resident Evil and Monster Hunter.
I mean, I'd be down to see what Code Veronica would look like as a as a remake. That'd be pretty dope.
I sort of do, but
Stab.
As much as I like Resident Evil, I kind of want some other franchises to get a chance. Like Capcom has
like Dino
a
Crisis?
lot of properties that I would love a Dino Crisis, as long as they like actually make it like Dino Crisis 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's one series I missed out on. But I've always heard like, I've seen a few old trailers and stuff like that.
But like Capcom has definitely improved in quality significantly since like the mid 2010s. But one thing I do kind of miss about those mid 2010s is there were a lot more franchises that were getting attention there.
Sure.
On.
Oh dear God.
What did I die from? Was that like 75% health?
Swallow my pride and play on standard mode.
There is just about no invincibility after being hit. So like what happened there, I went to parry the pitchfork.
Yeah.
But since I got hit from behind by the Molotov,
it was like a stun lock.
I got stun locked into taking the all the pit damage.
Yeah,
and then, someone punched me out of the pitchfork animation, and while I was recoiling from that, I just got burned by the fire that I was now standing.
Oh, I did not even see that wire until you stopped instantly.
Yeah, there's it is definitely easy to run into them if you don't hear the sound that they make. They do make like a little beeping noise.
Yeah.
That probably won't come across in like the gameplay footage. Please do, Mr. Wolf. It also helps that I've played this game like 4 times over already. Which you wouldn't know by looking at the footage, but I promise I'm not normally this bad.
Yeah. I didn't want to say anything too harsh there, but since you brought up,
this hasn't been a great run. I'll take that one on the chin. This is what gives reviewers the bad credit playing games, right?
Yeah.
It's people like me. The worst part is that I at least think of myself, and I suppose I should use that. Make sure to include the think part now. I think of myself as much better at Resident Evil than I am at Dead Space.
Mm.
But I played Dead Space on hard and didn't die once, and I've now died
Oh,
multiple times.
Yeah.
Standard on RE4.
Wow. Okay.
Well, at least for the gameplay.
Well, that's what.
footage I've did,
Well,
yeah.
that's what you're claiming, at least. After this, I'm not so sure.
Well, that's what you gotta do for impossible mode. You can't die once, and I can prove I did that. I have the foam finger gun for it.
Oh, okay, okay. That's what I was like tying it to.
Yeah, no. Oh my god.
Get out of there, Paul.
This is really spiraling out of control.
Hmm.
You know what? Oh, why did you not stab him? I pressed the stab button and he just just kind of decided to casually saunter on by. God, this guy's gonna turn into a parasite. It's all terrible. You know what? No, I've had enough. Everyone's blowing up. No more zombies.
Damn.
Dante's fed up.
Had enough of your problems. Oh. So, I'm trying to remember. Is this going to lead up? This part like leads up to the lake eventually, right?
Yeah, so we just passed the lake back there, actually.
That counted. Okay, that counted as it then.
And now we're getting the gas for the boat.
Yeah. Okay, that's right.
And then we'll get on the boat and we'll go for a nice leisurely stroll, which will definitely not be interrupted by any giant fish.
No, of course not.
By the way, kids, here's a fun, handy trick. If you shoot the lake 10 times, the game will give you a special upgraded Magnum. A mermaid pops out of the lake and delivers it to you. It's one of the more hidden Easter eggs in Resident Evil 4. Not many people know about it. See, look at that! I parried him and even still got hit from behind.
Yeah, that was.
Leave me
Okay,
alone.
I'll give you that one. Damn.
All right. Look. Go away. My God, this dude's still following me. No.
Give him a nice
No,
kick.
no. Don't like you.
What a good kick.
Go away. Leon does have some pretty good kick form.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like the notion that I can just eat this whole venomous snake with no problems whatsoever.
Yeah. Just take a probiotic or something, and
That's
you just
the
wolf
Bear
down
Grylls
whatever.
spirit, right?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Leon Kennedy,
Well, yeah.
and today we're going to eat this poisonous snake.
Paul, I think you should stick to reviews.
Here, I thought I did such a fantastic job.
Yeah. Sometimes
All right.
I gotta give it to you honestly.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
that's hurtful.
Uh-oh. Oh dear.
So
Oh dear.
I really love Resident Evil 4, but I gotta say, if there's one trope in horror fiction that I am so incredibly over, it
Mhm.
is the vehicle failing to start. Like, it is so predictable at this point. Resident Evil itself has done it multiple times.
Mhm.
And it started to annoy me much more than it should.
Well, yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's a it's one of those hallmarks that can just get annoying, I guess.
Yeah.
Whoa!
All right, so this is the Del Lago fight,
Mhm.
which, as I found out when I did my professional run, is a bad idea to mod over, because it inevitably means that you cannot tell where the heck the hitbox for the thing is,
Right.
and so you just wind up throwing darts at something that resembles Thomas the Tank Engine, but still has the hurt box of the normal Del Lago. Oh, yep, that's how physics works.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, this boss still kind of sucks.
It's just more. It's more of like a set piece type than
Yeah, there's only so exciting that you can make throwing harpoons at a giant fish.
But it's Leon throwing harpoons.
It's Deadliest Catch Resident Evil version.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go?
Also, what are you talking about? This is clearly Dante.
Oh.
I definitely hit you with the harpoon. I'm not sure why I took damage there. I really don't understand that.
Yeah, that was weird.
You're fine. You still got fucking 80% of your health bar left.
Dun, dun, dun. Get him, Paul.
Here, see, easy.
There you go.
Fish for dinner.
Hell yeah. I'd rather have that Viper than that thing.
Really?
Take
Just grill it up.
just take the risk. Yeah.
Put some salt and pepper on it. I'm sure it tastes great.
Uh,
Oh no, Dante, you coughed up tomato sauce from the pizza again.
no.
Well, nap time.
Poor guy.
What will happen next? You'll have to find out by playing Resident Evil 4 yourself. That's where we're gonna call it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Is my incredible cliffhanger
Good segue there. Yeah.
for the game itself. Capcom, you should really just hire me to advertise your games.
Yeah.
I do
As long as
such
you
a
don't
good
do the
job of
British
playing them,
voiceover.
clearly.
But like you said,
Right.
this was a rough run.
It was. I promise that is not how bad I normally play. I have 2 hardcore files with 0 deaths and a professional file with lots of deaths.
You're gonna have to
because-
show screenshots in the
I'll
editing.
I'll post screenshots
Yeah.
after the. I'll post screenshots right here on the video. Here's my reminder to edit it in. I'll provide it to prove my gamer cred.
There you go.
But in the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this episode. The wacky adventures of Dante and Resident Evil 4 Land, which I guess is kind of fitting since DMC 1 was originally going to be Resident Evil 4. Hadn't thought of that.
Ooh, I
There's
didn't
the
know that.
connection.
Hmm.
Story for next time.
Yeah.
But thanks for tuning in. I am Paul. That's Lee, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.